Okay, the first part, specifically figure 15-1 on page 428. How many people are using Dynamics, by the way? Can I see a quick show of hands? Okay. Looks like 3, 4 of you. Okay. Just interested. Did anybody get that stuff to work? Well, if you go through there, and for somehow you get those to work where they show you dimensions like on figure 15-1 using dynamic input and grips, please let me know and show me how to do it, and I will take that to the class. But I could not get it to work no matter what variables I set. So I'm going to walk away from that. The measure geometry command is next. Now for now, really you only need 2 of these. You can go out in your drawing and get all kinds of data like angles and distances, areas, and all that. I don't know if you can use the measure command, which I've got mine highlighted up here, to choose which one. But I really think what you might want to do is do the command aliases on these, where distance is DI, and then area is just the word area. Because you can get those 2 quite quickly off of the command line, and you're going to be using them all the time. Now the other ones like radius, diameter, angle, I don't really know why you would use those. In fact, since this came out, I've never used them except in lecture to show you them. Other than that, I've got the properties dialog box that gives me all the angles I need. So I really haven't used those. But what I do use all the time is distance. Now, the one thing I want to point out when you use the distance command, because let's say you forget the distance that this is right here, and you need that distance for an offset value. What I can do is come in and type DI, and then I'm clicking on these 2 lines. Now, as soon as I click on them, all that data goes down to my command line, and it kind of disappears in a second. I want to remind you of the text editor button that will bring that stuff back for you. Now, of course, mine's not working right now, but how do I get the text editor up? Does anybody remember that? It's one of the function keys I asked you to know.
Is that ST?
No, that's a style command. The text editor. Why isn't mine displaying? It's coming up, it's blocking off my text. Let me see if I can get it to go this way. Hit F2. No, mine's just not displaying at all for some reason. Do you guys get a text window that pops up, a gray one?
Yes.
That has all your data? Well, hopefully it's not like mine. Mine's up too, but it's black and I can't see anything. So if you use the distance command, all that information pops up. It gives you the X, the Y, the distance of the command, it gives you the angle, and it gives you the length. Now it's going to disappear on you, but if you hit F2, you're going to get that text window pop up, and you can have that data. The other thing to keep in mind with that is when you have it, maybe I can get it this way. I'm just going to pull this guy up. Maybe because I set my, maybe I accidentally set my color to black on that. So, let me real quickly check that and see. Display, color, where's my command line? Right there.
I don't know, it causes me a lot of trouble
Let me select color, let's go white. There it is. Accidentally set that up. Okay, so you get this command. Now this pops open your text window. You can go up through here to the very first command you had when you started the program. Just arrow key up. So you can kind of come out and say, oh, well, here's the distance command. Now everything in here is copyable. Okay, so if I said, you know, hey, I needed to send this information to somebody, I could just come in here, highlight it, Control-C it, drop it into a Word document or whatever, and send it to somebody. Okay, so if it disappears, you go to the text window, and that will show you everything that you have. Okay. So specifically on that distance command, you know, I know the distance I just clicked is now 4.523. The angle is at 270 degrees. It moved 0 in the X, it moved that all in the Y. and none in the Z. So you get some good information on that. And that's the distance command. Now to get rid of the text box, just hit F2 again. Now the area command is also quite useful, because we are doing that quite often. You know, for an example, let's say I was making a water tank or something, maybe to go on a pickup or a big flatbed truck. Hey, how do we design water tanks? Well, it's a volume calculation. It's basically area times the third dimension, and then we can know how many gallons of water to put in the thing and how big it needs to be. Okay, so I do use the area quite often. Now the area command, if you can use your pull down menu up here. Since all the keys are close together, I can type that one with my left hand. I just type area. And what you do on the area command is you go out and you digitize any shape you wish. Okay. So I'm going to digitize around. This thing's turning green as I go. Get to my last point, I hit enter. Okay, and then it puts down on the command line again the area and the perimeter, or the distance around.
Wait, how did you do that again?
Just type area and then digitize some shape on your screen. When you hit enter, that information should be sitting in your command line. You can even do math with this if you wish. Let me do a weird polygon here. Now, what if I get a weird shape like this one over here? Has a bunch of curves in it. Okay, how do I get the area of this? If it is a P-line, you can use the area command. But you don't need to, because it should be, if it's a P-line, you can get it right out of your properties dialog box, right? So I don't know that I really need this. But I can do the area command. And notice that there's an object mode on there, down on the status bar. If you just click O object and then select your P-line, it will do the area of it. So I'm going to hit object, select this guy. I'm going to have to do it again here because it just went through an autosave. Object. And there it will give you all that information. But keep in mind, you can also just click on that and you've got the area already for you in the properties dialog box if it's P-line. There's also a subtract command. So like here, let's say I wanted this. I wanted the area of this whole thing minus this part, this hole that I'm cutting through it. Maybe this is a concrete bridge abutment, and that's going to be a culvert that's installed in it. So how much concrete do I need? I can get that answer really quick off of here with the area command. If I type in area, I'm going to click around through the object. Okay. That gives me that area. Come back in. I actually probably ought to add some. So I'm going to say add this one. Hit enter, and then I'm going to subtract this one. And I'm going to use an object on this. And then it will do the math for me. So you can do that also. So I know that's the area, it's 31.15. If it's so far deep that I just times it by that, and hey, I got the yards concrete that I need to order.
Does it pick up curves?
What's that?
Does it pick up curves?
It's got a little curve feature in it, but it's hard to match up a curve. And so I don't do it. What I would do is I would quickly take and use the join command and make a P-line out of it. Get your area, and then once you have your area, if you don't want that to be a P-line anymore, just explode it. Okay, and I think that's probably the better way to get that information.
and subtracting. I did the area, then I have to go back and add it again. I mean,
Yeah, okay, so here, let me do the area for you. Let me get rid of this guy. Okay, so what I want is an area of this whole thing, and I'm gonna use the join command, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw these into
join.
solid shapes. Okay, so that's now a key line. Because this will be the easiest way to do it. So I'm gonna grab area command. Okay, now down on the bottom, notice it's got add and subtract.
Okay, then did add there.
Yep, so you gotta hit add. And it's saying, what do you want to add? And I'll just, since this is a P line, I'll just do object and select it. Now, I'm done adding, so I hit enter. Now it says, you gotta subtract. Okay, so I hit S enter, and this time I'm gonna do an object again and grab this circle. And then hit enter, and it should give you the total area. So the area of that circle was somewhere around 6 because it was 37 and now I'm 31. Now, before I leave this and the angle thing, I do want to point one thing out. If you would just watch me for a second. So I'm going to take a line and I'm going to draw it from point 1, right here, and I don't know what angle I'm at, to right here. Okay. Now I'm going to take another line and I'm going to start here and draw it parallel back to here. Now, I didn't use a parallel snap, I just kind of eyeballed it. So, the thing to remember here is that you're going to get different results. This was point 1, that was point 2. There's point 1, there's point 2. Now, when I click on these and I get the angle, because maybe I want to do a rotate or I just need to match up with that angle, hey, how do I get the angle of this line? Well, just click on it. It's going to tell you right in here, isn't it? Okay, you can use the angle command out of the measure geometry, but you don't have to. Now I'm going to click this one, and it tells me my angle is 29 degrees. Okay, which means from here, it's 0, and then it rotated 29 degrees. Now, watch what happened when I clicked the other one. This one, even though it's the same angle as the other one, it's 208 degrees. Why? Because it was drawn backwards, so it's at 1, the angle it's calculating is all the way around. So you just got to remember, sometimes you'll click on these lines and the angle is 180 degrees out just because it was drawn that direction. It always goes from point 1 to point 2 to point 3 to point 4, whatever the case might be. So you will get answers that you might have to take and say, oh, well, I got to drop 180 off of that. Yes?
You turn your measurement thing on,
Mm-hmm.
it measures it from whichever end you have your thing on. Your big box.
Yeah, if you come up here, you can define the angle. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I mean, what you were trying to turn on earlier, you said you couldn't figure out?
Mm-hmm.
I turned it on.
Okay, so the F12, turn on dynamics.
Yep, you turn on dynamics, and then you have to change the input settings, and so right click on the little thing down at the bottom.
This coordinate display.
Yeah, you need to go you need to go over more. It looks like a little plus with a little, like, I don't know.
Oh, the dynamic.
Yep, you need to right click on, nope, not that one.
Let me see if, I don't even think I have dynamics up here, do I? I may turn.
I had to turn it on mine.
The dynamic UCS, right?
No, it's
No.
the dynamic input.
Right there.
And then when it goes up, then you edit that to show you 2 measurements
Under which tab?
under the dynamic input.
Yeah, I'm still not seeing where I turn that on at.
It should work now. Go out and click on something. And then hold it. There you go.
By gosh. I did that 50 times on my computer this morning.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, thank you for that. So it's giving me the angle and it's giving me the distance. Let me see if I can get that to work down here on this guy now.
It works in the circles too.
Huh? That's very strange. Anyway, there it is. So thank you, Andy.
You're welcome.
That's that first page of the chapter. And I don't know what we did other than I turned on the
Yeah, it took
properties and
me
shut it back
a
down. It
while.
didn't change
Mine was
anything.
just on.
Okay.
Was it?
Yeah, mine was on as well.
Okay, well, if you're using Dynamics, and it looks like there was 3 of you in there, that's a useful little tool for you. So you can do the distance and angle without typing DI or even using the properties dialog box.
I don't like that. I don't like having it right there.
Okay, did anybody have any other questions on any of the other measured geometry items? Okay. Keep in mind volume. Can we do volume? No, not really, not unless you get a 3D object. Then you can. So next semester we can. Okay, following that, there are a couple commands that are pretty nice. On 434, you have the list command. If you're trying to find out information in your drawing, this is a nice one to have. What the list command will do is list all the database information about objects in the order they're selected. Okay. So how I use list is I type in list, and I go out and I choose like that object, then I'm going to choose this object, and then this object. And when I'm done choosing them, I hit enter. They then pop up into here, and I'm going to hit F2 to turn on my text window. Now it gives me my first one. Here's all the information on the circle, the second one, and you just keep toggling through that, and it will show you all that information. And you can then cut and paste or whatever you wanted. If you needed a circle diameter or circle radius, if you needed a start point, you can just cut and paste right out of here into the command line. And it will go ahead and enter that information for you. So that's the list command. With this properties box, this is the only big reason on this is if I got to maybe email some information to somebody. I don't have to click on properties, write it all down. I can just cut and paste from here to Word. Okay, so like maybe I just wanted that polygon. Well, there's all the information for it right there. I come in, just go ahead and Control C that, and then pop open Word. Like here, Control V, save that, and I could email that to somebody across the room or across the country or whatever the case might be, if they were asking for that information. So I'll give that one a quick try, see how it works. So the list reports object information to the text line in the order they're selected.
The lights turned off. Are they automatic?
Technology.
Oh,
Isn't that wonderful?
there's a close
Now your parents will never yell at you again if they had automatic turn off lights. Kid, turn that light on. How many times you hear that out? I still have nightmares of Michael just yelling at me.
Andy, the camera's down.
Okay, did everybody get the list?
Do it again.
Okay. No, like it's dying.
Die? The battery die?
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's dying.
It's full charge.
No.
All right, here's another one, the time command. Folks, you need to know the time command. Many times in a firm, this is how you're getting charged out, and you use the time command to fill out your time sheets. And just to let you know how it works, let's say you're working for EHM Engineers over here. They're a consulting engineering firm. They've got many projects going at the same time. They're charging you out at probably 80, 90 bucks an hour. That's what they're getting paid for you to work on a project. Now you're getting $20, $30 of that, right? That's your salary. They've got $20 or $30 to pay for your equipment, and then I hope the boss is taking some home too. Because if he's not, there's no reason to have you there. So anyway, that's where all that money goes. Now, when you come in and work in the morning, let's say you work 2 hours for ITD on a drawing, and you want to keep track of that. All you do is when you fire open your drawing, set your time, then work for however long you're going to do time again. It's going to tell you exactly how long you were in that drawing. And then you take that, paste it into your time card, and the right client gets billed. And you'll do that several times a day because let's say you do 2 hours for ITE, and then you're going to do 2 hours for a private person doing a subdivision, and then you might switch over and do 2 hours for a Fred Meyer project or something of that nature. So it's a good way to get your time cards done. Now, how you use this command is you just type in time. And when it comes down on the bottom, so if you would, type in time. Now notice when it pops up, you got all this information. Okay? Total editing time, 23 minutes, 19 seconds. That's how long I've been going this morning. Now, usually when you do this, so if you're doing it for a time card or a billing procedure, when you open the drawing, what you want to do is use the reset. Because this thing will store the entire time the drawing's been open forever. Okay? So if you open it an hour one day, an hour the next day, it's going to keep adding that stuff up. Okay? So generally you'll come in and you'll type a reset before you get going. So R, enter. Okay, now that sets everything to 0. Okay? And then you go ahead and go about your work, and you work for an hour or two, and you're getting ready to switch to another project. You go right back to the time command, and it should have exactly how long you were in there. So you can pull that number off. That was 11 seconds. And put that in my time clock. I don't know if they're going to pay me for 11 seconds.
Get better if they're going out at $180 an hour.
Well, we need a little more education before we're worth that much money. But there are a lot of people that do make that much money. Okay, the time command. So make sure you can see that. All right, the quick calc is next. In fact, I think that's really the last thing in the chapter to kind of deal with. We do have a pretty good calculator in here. But before we go into quick calc, let me show you another way to do calculations really quickly if you need to. This thing's got a calculator going all the time, and I haven't really seen this command in a text. But if you would, type CAL. Okay? CAL. Okay, and then hit enter. Now, down on the bottom, it says, give me an expression. So this is just a command line calculator. And you can really only do plus, minus, multiply, divide here. But what I can do is, let's say, we did that arrowhead where we made it a 1/4 inch long and our width is always a third of that. Hey, this is a number, if you don't have memorized, how can I get it real quickly? I would type CAL, and then I'm going to do 0.25 divided by 3 and hit enter, and it puts back 0.0833. Okay, so if you just got plus, minus, multiply, divide, this keeps you from having to go over to a real calculator and use it, which is a pretty nice thing. Now, I keep in mind with these calculators we're going to talk, I don't think they supplant a desktop calculator you have. Okay, you pretty much need one of those because we're out in the field a lot too, and then you're somewhat limited on what you can do with these. Not to mention if the power goes out or you're just doing a text sketch, don't even have this fired up. So CAL, enter, and that allows you to do plus, minus, multiply, divide. Now the other thing you want to do, if you type QC, that's your quick calculator. And this actually is a pretty nice little calculator for a digital one in AutoCAD. It's gotten quite a bit better over the version since it popped out. The nice part about this calculator, it's interactive with your drawing. Okay? So it's meant to be used with the drawing in question. So right up here, standard calculator, right? You do have a scientific calculator here, and you also got a nice unit conversion program in here. Okay? which are really nice to have. Now, how this works, let me just show you real quick. If I want to do some geometry, okay, so let's say, let me pull this off to the side. Let's say I wanted the area of this guy. Okay. Now, certainly I've got the area command, but I can do it right here too. What I would do is come up here and say, you know, I've got this little distance button right here. I'm going to click on distance. It pops me out to the screen. I'm going to digitize that distance. It comes back out and it's put that distance into the calculator input window. Then I'm going to click on there and I'm going to say times, and then go back and re-hit the distance command, and now I'll do, because this is a rectangle, base times height, this area, right? Click there, and then equals, and there it is. There's my area, 37.6. So this is kind of nice in that it can pull info out of the drawing and use it right inside of the calculator. By the way, how many of you have not used what we call a stacking calculator, where it shows you like 4 or 5 lines of what you've done? Okay. Those things are the cat's meow. Okay. And this thing right here has it also, so it's going to keep recording it up here. The nice part about that, you can see the last 4 or 5 expressions that you've done. Okay. So that's a nice feature. Unit conversion. What could I use that for? A lot. Okay, a whole lot. Let's just make sure you can use this. Unit type. So if you would, on your quick calculator, open up the unit conversion section. So we're going to do length. Let's leave it on length. And let's